Hey guys, this is Hades. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video. Guys, we're back on the test server. We're going to try out the new Fusion champion. Before you guys get a chance to decide, do you want the epics or do you want the legendary? We did a lot of playtesting last night on stream. So if you want to go and see some of the other champions like in early playtest before we do a full guide like this, then you can actually go and check out my Twitch, Hades TV. You can check my VOD from last night, which is like the recorded video, and you can just kind of dive in and see different elements of different champions. But if you're kind of like trying to get your brain in the right place for what you're going to do. But honestly, I think this is the toughest decision I've seen with a Fusion champion, as in epics versus the legendary. After playtesting for a few hours last night, I think this is the hardest decision people will ever have to make so far since the raid's been going, in terms of, do I want that epic champion, or do I want the 4 epics, or do I want this one legendary champion? So we're going to do a guide today on Hurndig, the Dwarf. Super cool looking dude, actually. Just before I get into that, though, there's something which is really important to me. So my business partner on hellhades.com and a massive member of this community does a huge amount of stuff behind the scenes. So this is Fiction. For those that follow my channel and kind of follow my Discord, you'll know who he is. But Dan, basically his long-term girlfriend has been suffering with terminal cancer. And 2 days ago, she passed away during the night. So what I've done is I've just set up a GoFundMe site here, which anybody that wants to, I'm going to leave this up for 24 hours more, but basically anyone who wants to support Fiction, he's got 2 young children, they're 10 and they're 7. I honestly couldn't imagine being in that situation where you kind of lose your partner and then you've got 2 children that you're trying to rally for. So really, we're just trying to support things like funeral costs, and trying to just kind of help raise some cash to support the family. So it's an awful situation. Like I say, I couldn't imagine being in the same place. And Dan would never ask for this type of stuff, but I just thought it'd be good for the community if they're able to, and there's no pressure at all to do so, but if they're able to support, it would be amazing. We've already had 156 people donate. I only put this out less than 24 hours ago, £5,600, which is amazing. I know, because I've spoke to Dan this morning, he's absolutely blown away. His family are blown away by the support that's already there. So as I say, there's no pressure at all. But if you do have anything spare, then that would be amazing, because I know it would mean a lot to him. But as I say, I'm going to leave this running for 24 hours. I will link it in a pinned comment below. If you're able to support, that would be absolutely amazing. Okay, let's move on. Hurndig, what are we going to do with this dwarf? What we're going to do with this dwarf. So, honestly, he is a little bit confused. He's a bit confused in terms of what he is. Is he a debuffer? Is he a nuker? Does he know what he's going to do? And honestly, because of that, he becomes quite a difficult champion to build and use. But he also means he's super valuable in terms of just being, just having like a number of different uses that you could use him for in the game. He's a bit like an Astralon, a bit like a Ray, who could basically come in and be someone that does control and debuffing, or somebody that does a buttload of damage, and he does. So what we got then, we've got an A1, which has got a extra turn, decreases the cooldown of Stasis Strike, which is his big hitter on his A3. Decreases it by 2 turns if he kills someone. This, as we found out in stream, is actually one of the best anti-warlord arena abilities I think that's in the game. And I'll show you that in some battles later. But this is actually really cool. So firstly, you could just A1, keep killing people. But his A3 hits hard. So he A1s, gets an extra turn, and then A3s. This will be on off cooldown by that point, and slams with an AoE. Very cool. Also makes him very viable as a campaign farmer as well, by the way. A2 is a drop defense, decrease accuracy nuke. Does hit hard. 3-turn cooldown, drop defense. What an ability anyway. Everybody needs AoE drop defense champions. This one is like a I'm doing it and I'm cracking you in the face with it at the same time. He's also dropping accuracy at the same time as well. For Doom Tower progression, for dungeon progression, this is big. For the arena, this is weird because it's like, do I want him to do this or do I want him to do this, which is an absolute slam. So he hits one person, he then does an AoE. The first hit depletes the turn meter of the person he smacks, and then the AoE will throw out a weaken for 2 turns, and if the enemy's turn meter is low, then it also drop an HP burn on them as well. So this ability here, it just means he's got this kind of plethora of debuffs. On stream, we tried him on Spider. I'll show it again here. This is okay for Spider, but the HP burns, after the first HP burn, you start to lose control as to whether or not it's going to land on all of the Spiderlings, which is a bit of a problem. He's also got a turn meter fill, so every time he gets hit, he takes an extra 10% turn meter. Also fills his champion's turn meter by 20% if someone on his team dies. So again, like, this is pretty good to get him going. So if you're a go second sort of team in the arena, or if you're just taking hits in somewhere like Doom Tower, he can actually kind of turn the tide and get some turn meter here. Also, if you're campaign farming with him, if your 3 food champions die, he gets a buttload more turn meter and gets going again. So actually very cool in that scenario as well. Attacking all battles aura, pretty nice. So what have I done? I've got him in a damage set. I've got him in a damage build, Helm Smasher, full kind of damage set up for masteries with an accuracy support tree for masteries as well. I feel like this is going to be his best spot. You definitely could run him with something like increased accuracy if you're just going to use him as a debuffer. If you want to slim, pull the damage out of his kit, you could do that. But I feel like he's got such good multipliers that it's almost a crazy thing to do. The only time I would probably do that is if I'm trying to make him the HP burn strat for Spider, and then I would strip all of the damage out and I'd make him weak source but high accuracy. So that's the only time I think I would run in that type of setup. Okay, let's get him out there. I mean, what have I done with his kit? I've got him in good gear here, guys. We've got him in kind of high attack, high crit rate, high good accuracy, good speed. Yeah, this is what I mean about him being quite stat hungry. You want him to be fast. If he's going to be your drop defense champion, he should be your fastest champion, maybe except your speed lead, okay? So you actually want him to go before the rest of your team to drop defense so that they can get smacking. But because he does a lot of damage himself, he's kind of like, yeah, but I also want high crit rate. I want high crit damage. I need the accuracy to land his debuffs. And obviously the attack helps me do my damage, but then I'm kind of squishy. So he does have good base stats across the board, but he becomes extremely stat hungry if you build him similar to how I've done. And I've got him in good gear. I haven't stripped my best gear off all my champions, but I've got him in good, solid gear here for the test. So let's get him into just a straight up damage test to see what he can do first. We'll go on Dragon 20, which is where I normally do my damage test. Let's set him up. Okay, so I'm going with my standard kind of setup for a damage test. Extra damage from Bad Owl, extra damage from Gerptuck, drop defense and weaken, increase attack because he's an attack-based champion. So we're going to get big hits out. And we know, if we're hitting for anything less than a couple of 100k with this sort of setup, then he's not the Mr. Smack, okay? So let's start with his A3. Slow this down. See if we can get some animations here. I thought he had bongos on his back. It turns out they're cannons. Check this out. So he goes 200k on the first target. Then he slaps for 180k AoE. That's a hard hit. That's kind of like... it's kind of like Foley, if not a bit more than Foley level of damage on his A3. And that's on a 4-turn cooldown, sorry. So it's a juicy hit for someone who is a debuffer. This is why I was saying, like, he doesn't really know what he is. Let's just get it through and you can see what his A2 does as well. On auto, he will A2 first. So let's just slow it down again. A2. So we get a better angle. Here we go. A2. Cannons go out and I mean, 140 to 170k across the board. So he's got 2 smacks, yeah? And that first, obviously, if he was your drop defense champion, then the first smack would be the one that drops the defense, and then the next smack will be the one that drops the weaken and stuff in. So we're not going to have all of these buffs on there as well. Let me show you his A1 as well. Obviously, his A1 cycles then back to other abilities. A1, 149k. So everything he's doing is about hitting hard. Everything. And obviously, he just killed someone with his A1, so he gets his A3 back really quick. There it is. And you're just going to cycle through his abilities super quick. So, I mean, if I try and think of an epic that he reminds me of, it's a bit like Zardala, okay? Damage. An attack-based debuffer who you want to build for damage, yeah? Because there's a ton of damage in his kit. And there's also a ton of quality debuffs in his kit. So yeah, this guy, I feel like he's just going to be pretty much viable anywhere in the game. Maybe not Clan Boss. Clan Boss is not going to be the best spot for him. But outside of Clan Boss, I think he could play anywhere in the game. Which as I say, goes back to my opening statement. It's one of the toughest decisions to make because some of these epics are going to be really, really valuable to you. So let's come out of here. Let me show you him in Doom Tower. No, actually, first we're going to show campaign. Nightmare campaign, 12-6. Okay, this is the ultimate farm stage. If you can get here, this gives you the best XP in the game if you want to level champions quickest. If you want silver, you go on to brutal, you do 12-3. But endgame players, if they're doing this, will do it here, 12-6. And there's very few champions that can deal with this stage. Ethos is one. Biggin is one. I don't even know if Hurndig can. I don't think Hurndig can. Yeah, so there's not many. There's a few defensive based ones like Ignatius, but yeah, there's really not many that can do this. But watch how comfortable he is on Nightmare Campaign. A3, A1 gets cooldown back on his A3. There it is again. See you later, wave 1. We then come in, I think he's A1 in there. I might have changed his AI up, actually. He's just smacking a load of A1s. I've turned his A2 off, which I'll turn it back on. I'll show you that again in a second. But even like this, you can see how insane he is at this level. Just smacking people up. 32 seconds. Let me just change his AI quick. Oh, yeah, so I blocked his A2. Let's take that off. Just on default. Run again. Now he's got his A2. So he's done at A2 first. Yeah, that's what I was expecting to see. Then he does his A3. Wave 1 dead. Okay. He's now got a cooldown to wait on. So he does his A3, his A2 again. Everyone's going to be dead. Bam. You're all dead, Dave. 18 seconds so far. A2. A3. You're all dead. 22 seconds. Nightmare 12-6 farm. And that is consistent all day long. So I've got him in strong gear. But I don't think there's many champions that can step in and do what he's doing there like that. Which is bonkers. You know, it's bonkers how strong he is. So let's take him into Doom Tower. You can see what he does here. I guess let's just take him onto a reasonably high level floor. Let's take her out now. Her out. Maybe we'll throw Seal in. Throw Seal in. He can go in. We've got a bit of control, a bit of turn meter stuff. And then we'll drop in somebody like a Aox. There we go. So basically, I mean, he's our debuffer and he's our damage. There's not really a lot of damage going on here. But you will see that he's kind of good at doing both. So he drops a defense there. We've got some stunnage going on from our Seal, some control going on from our Achak, and then bam, he is doing work. A lot of damage here. And obviously he's also dropping those debuffs. Gets his cooldown back, slams the whole wave down. comes back to that A3 so quick. Yeah, so anyone who's kind of been saying, I'm not going for this dwarf, he's not going to be that strong. I don't know, guys. He's pretty damn strong. He's strong. He's tough to build because you need a lot of stats to get him working like this. You could just build him as a tanky dwarf that does drop defense. You could do that. But honestly, if that's what you're going to do, I see he's down here. Seal's picked him back up. If that's what you're going to do, I would rather build a Stag Knight to do that or a Tyrell to do that. Just because their kit's kind of more in tune with doing that. But yeah, and unfortunately what it means is you need some good champions around him to keep him alive at this sort of level of gameplay. But he does do a lot of work. Oh man, just resurrected the whole team. But he does do a lot of work. He does a lot of damage, and he gets around to his abilities very quickly. So I'm not going to make you watch all of this, but you can kind of see the power that he's bringing here. This A1 into his A3 is just broken good, really, really strong. And then we can see him in the arena. Let's show him in the arena. So I don't know what I would do with him if I put him in the arena. I think I would rather run him as a damage dealer. I think I would rather have my normal Madame type of strip. Depends on what you've got, obviously, on your accounts. But I think I'd normally have I'd rather have, a Madame strip and then him just coming in for the nuke. But if you don't have another drop defense option, he could be a high damage drop defense champ, which then leads into someone else doing your nuke. But if we was to run this, so if I slow this down, if I run this on auto, I think he A2s even though drop defense is on, which is not his most powerful move. So you'd want to change his AI. So yeah, so he's done his A2. I mean, he is dropping their accuracy with that. But honestly, you would much prefer him to do his A3, which hopefully will kill that whole team. So yeah, and if you're using your A3, just be aware that it's a double hitter on one champion. So you choose who you want to absolutely nail with his A3. So if I want to kill someone, so we've got strong affinity here. So yeah, let me just think who I would want to take out. Probably would be maybe Brogni or Morley, maybe Morley. So I'd wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Everyone sits down at that point. So yeah, lots of damage in his kit. And as I say, a bit like Astralon, it then makes you wonder, how should I build him? Should I build him as an accuracy freak, or should I just build him as a full-on damage dealer and almost forget the accuracy? I feel like a hybrid build is the better way to go on him, because then he can come and play with just about anyone. So yeah, so we've got Doom Tower really strong. Faction Wars, I mean, it's not open for me here, unfortunately, but he would be a menace in Faction Wars for you. When you get to the final boss, he's maybe not the best, albeit he brings a load of cool debuffs. Let's try him in Spider. Spider is somewhere where I was hoping he would be really good for. So just for running Spider, I've changed his build up to be more like a burner. So he still has to have a 100% crit rate to get his burn away, because it's based on critting first, then doing the AoE burn. This makes it challenging, because you actually then need to bring his damage down if you want the burn to be the main source of damage. I would not be running this mastery. I'd be doing an accuracy mastery or a war master mastery alongside it. But you'd need to be running him with champions that drop the Spiderling's turn meter back, so that when he does it, when he does his first move A3, he's going to do the burn straight out, which means you'd need to change his team setup and change his AI to do his A3 as his kind of first ability. I won't do that right now, but you can kind of get a feel for what I mean. So you'd have someone like Lysandra pull back the turn meter of the Spiderlings. Then Lysandra, then Sylar doing the same thing. Sylar and Lysandra, I don't know if I said that wrong. Atrak can throw out a freeze. And then you'd want to set his AI so that he then does his A3. So he's going to deplete turn meter here. Maybe you'd want to save it for a bit later. But anyway, deplete turn meter here, which is a great skill. And he's going to burn all of these Spiderlings that are less than a third turn meter. Bam, HP burns across the board. And then you've got yourself a burner. Now, that's not the easiest setup in the world to do. But if you do not have an HP burner, but you do have people like Lysandra, then you've got a chance, or a choice at least, of someone that can do this type of thing. Once you've got past doing it once, it becomes way more difficult to do. Because your control of the situation goes out the window almost. And you're just kind of reliant then on getting lucky procs, depending on if the spiderlings... depending on if this falls in the right time. But you see here, we've got the burns out everywhere. The other thing is when you've got so many sort of turn meter control champs, you know, it's whether the spiderlings actually get their goes to get the burn out. But you can see, I mean, I'm running this full auto. You can see with the right type of setup, he can be useful at this role. But I personally don't think it's his best use unless you're struggling for a burner. Certainly, if you don't have a HP burn champion, then, you know, it's going to be useful for the later level Spider 17+. Because again, we just tried to do it there, I think. Did we get any burns out? Maybe that was his A2, actually. So he must be coming back around to it soon. And you'll see, I mean, I don't think the main Spider's even had a turn yet with this team. Let's just see what he does here. There it is. And we've got, like, what... maybe a couple of burns away. So it becomes way more about RNG at that point as to whether or not you can get it to happen. But still, at least it's viable. It's a bit like a Trunda HP burn strat. You can do it. It's not her best place to play. So there we go, guys. Look, I'm going to do videos on the other epics alongside him. And the epics are good. The Hippo, particularly good for Faction Wars. The Lizard, particularly good as well. I really like the Lizard's kit. And there's another AoE drop defense champion, the Siege guy, who hits hard as well. So you've got 3 epics out of the 4, which I think are strong, especially for progression of accounts. But this guy, if you're short of a nuker, if you want a hard-hitting drop defense champion, someone who's going to cycle back their abilities really quickly, he's really fun, actually. He's a really fun champ. And again, Galarian have done a good job of making us have to make hard decisions over this fusion. So, damn, I don't know what... I'm probably going to try and get him and a bunch of the epics, if I can. But I also... I'm not sure that he would get into any of my end game teams, particularly. But for most players, he's going to be solid. Anyway, guys, look, I've been Hell Hades. Good luck with the fusion if you're going to go for it. We should get the details out later today. I will catch you soon. See you later.